Welcome back to another episode of Behind the Needle. I am your fearless host, Mike Lemieux, and with me is Marisa, the aesthetic injector, Albuquerque, and all of New Mexico, probably all of the Southwest. Number one injector, definitely for sure the most entertaining on
Thank
Instagram
you.
that
I'll
I've ever
take
seen.
that.
But
I'll take
how
that
are you?
award.
Yes, take it. How are you doing today, Marissa? We're super stoked that you're here.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I took some time out of my busy schedule just to talk with you today. So I'm really excited to get going. So
We're
yeah, thanks
excited to
for
talk
having me.
too. Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to jump right into what I've learned is happening in New Mexico amongst med spas. And it's kind of crazy because towards the end of last year, the beginning of the year was one of those, the state announced, and you can correct me where it's not perfectly accurate, but the state announced that in order to operate a laser, you had to be at least an RN or above. And
Yes.
so estheticians could no longer operate lasers as of a few months ago and like springtime of this year. And so that could be very detrimental to a med spa's business, depending on who is operating those lasers. Has this affected you at all, or what?
Yeah, I mean, so 100%, this is we're starting to see it be very detrimental to a lot of medical spas around here, because they do have estheticians as their primary operators. So not even just lasers, but anything that's going to break the skin barrier. So some of them are doing Morpheuses or ablative lasers and things
Yeah,
like that. I really think that this branched off from the HIV cases that happened in one of the medical spas around here. I think it was around 2018.
mm,
That it was an unlicensed provider. I think it was a hairdresser. They were doing vampire facials, and my heart goes out to these patients.
mm,
But they unknowingly went and got services at this medical spa by someone not medically licensed. And I believe they're still testing, and it's around 8 patients that they found that are starting to pop up positive. So I think this was like the big push for the board to like,
yeah,
what is this? What is aesthetics? What is going on? Like, this is a brand new specialty. We need to get a hold of this because it is the Wild West out there, and patients should not be getting harmed like this. It is unfortunate that, as a, you know, medical professional, that we are now the ones that are having to pay for someone unlicensed performing these procedures. So, I mean, I totally
yeah,
get where the board is coming from, and they're trying to reel it in, this beast of aesthetics that they don't understand and that no one understands. And so I am all for barriers and keeping patients safe. And I think that's where this came from. Now, that
yeah,
being said, like, there's some amazing estheticians that just know all about lasers. We've been trained on lasers by, some brilliant estheticians that have so much experience. But the board is really going farther. So now they keep making more regulations and changes. So as of this month, the new update was that they are going to require all injectors, nurses, nurse practitioners to have a national certification. So whether it be
wow,
CANS or MEPC, there's no other state in the nation that requires us to operate with this. And I mean,
yeah,
nurse practitioners, independent practice all over the state of New Mexico. So, like, I don't have a cans. I never worked with a plastic. I don't have any of that experience. So we're trying to jump through the hoops and navigate. And it's difficult. We have nurses that operate our lasers, and we just feel like that was better for us to have those providers. Lasers are very intense, they're dangerous, you need to
yeah,
have some critical thinking behind it, and we chose nurses initially, so that aspect hasn't really affected us, but we do see all around the state it affecting a lot of medical spas. So
Do you think that this could go outside of New Mexico as well, or have you heard anything about that?
I mean, I think so. I do know, like in states like Denver and Texas, you can be an esthetician and inject,
Hmm.
which inject just Botox. So I think
Yeah,
I think to level up as a specialty and to be taken seriously, we need to level up these things about providers, right? It can't just
right.
be anyone out there injecting. And I do understand these regulations, and they haven't been completely hard for us, but we do know a lot of practices that it's affected. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. My my heart goes out to those patients too. I mean, you just go in just thinking about that. What if I went in there for a facial thinking it was going to help with whatever, and then all of a sudden I'm testing positive for HIV? That's absolutely terrible. You shared an
Challenging.
Instagram story, I think it was today, that I really loved. And on a previous episode with her Instagram name is Injectable Me. Her name's Amanda out in Park City. Um, it reminded me of what she said, just questions that you can ask your provider.
Yes.
And one of them was, can I see some of your before and afters? Where did you go to school? Can I see? And can you tell me a couple of those that are really valuable questions that somebody can ask, because we don't really know. Like,
No.
you could
And
have good
patients,
marketing and I could find you from Google or my maps, but I don't really know much about you as a provider unless I ask these questions. So what are like one or two really important questions that will tip us off to know if this is a legitimate provider that I could go see?
yeah, I mean, not even just a question. I actually encourage patients. It's as easy as going up and looking up licensure, because I have come across a personal story. One of my patients, and I do, services on her, and
Yeah.
she had gone to get a service in particular, and the person lied to her and said they were a physician. She landed up with an injury
Oh no.
and had surgical debridement, infection, all of these things.
Yeah.
I was livid.
Yeah.
Like, this person, she said the whole time he was telling me he's a doctor. So I'm like, it's as easy as looking up a licensure. This is public knowledge. You can go up and you can make sure this person is even just licensed. Like
So
that,
literally I just go to Google, I say,
you look
is
us up
Mike
on the Board of
Lemieux a
Nursing.
doctor? A board of
Yeah,
nursing, okay.
the Board
Okay.
of Nursing, you can look up a licensure on the medical board.
Okay.
Even I encourage patients, like before they even go get Botox, if we are not registered in the Allergan website as a provider and they're
Yeah.
offering you Botox, that's a red
Red
flag.
flag.
Yeah.
Red,
So
run away, run away.
yes, I'm like, you have to be on that website. You have to be
Yeah.
registered in order to be selling Botox. So these are small things that you don't even have to ask me. Go look up my licensure. And if I'm not
Yeah.
I say I'm a nurse practitioner and it's not there on the Board of Nursing, red flag, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But another big one is, how many years have you been injecting? What
Mm,
additional educational conferences or classes have you done? Because I think a big part of being an injector is investing in yourself and taking additional courses. And, my business partner and we spend the hundreds of thousands of dollars just every year, just going
yeah.
to these conferences and investing in our training and keeping up with the latest and greatest techniques and evidence base, and just making sure we are as safe as possible for our patients. If
Love that.
you're not continuing your education, like, what if over 6 years I did not do any educational classes and I kept with the same, let me fill your nasolabial fold with some old dirty, radius or whatever. Like, that's not, you have to
No.
keep learning every
Yeah.
single day. You never know everything. You just got to keep with your education.
Yeah. Those are really good. So I think that me as a customer, I could see myself feeling maybe a little bit intimidated going to you and saying, hey, what continuing education that you have? But I think that people should feel empowered
Yeah.
to be able to do that, because this isn't
This is a
anything that
luxury service.
you don't want to F around and find out with this. You want to make sure
No.
beforehand
Yes.
that this is someone who's legit.
And patients have a right. You know, you are coming to me, you are choosing me. I'm not forcing you to get Botox. You have every right
Right.
to vet your injector and make sure that they're safe. This isn't it. I absolutely need Botox to live. This is you are picking, you're choosing to
Yep.
have the
It's
service. So,
all elective. All of it's elective.
mhm.
Thank you for talking about that. That was something that I've been wondering about. Let's move on to something a little more entertaining. This is actually how I found you. Somebody shared one of your reels, and you're so funny. If you're not following Marisa, your Instagram is Marisa the Aesthetic Injector, right? And
Yes.
are there periods in there too, if I'm remembering right?
Yes. Period
Okay,
in between each word. So,
okay.
yeah.
But you, where do you come up with this stuff? Is it just in your head? Do you have someone in house helping you? And you also told me, like, I know I try, I just do it in between patients sometimes, because I've wondered too, the injectors that are really active like you, sharing funny things, creating their own funny things, like, do you just find the time? Do you set the time aside? Is there help? Lower the gate. Tell me how this is
Yes,
done.
you have to make time. You have to make it a priority. I'll come in before my first patient. I'll stay
Okay.
after my last patient. If I have a no-show, the first thing on my mind is content, content, content. Like I drive everyone like so crazy because I'm
Yeah.
not just doing like our practice and my personal page, but I'm also guiding my other injectors through
Mm,
getting themselves out there and breaking down their barriers and showing their personality and making sure that they get in people's faces.
yeah.
So, you know, I will bombard their DMs with like ideas for, hey, film this, film this, film this, film this. Just all the time. You have to make it a priority. So, and I love helping people, and that's one of my things is, you know, if I can help these injectors market themselves and get themselves out there, like that's pretty valuable because it's not a
Yeah.
big thing that's out there to help
Would
with.
you say that a lot of your patients that come see you regularly follow you on Instagram too?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I think
And
when I first started injecting, it was like I didn't even have an Instagram page. I was like, what's Instagram? Like, I don't know what this is. Like, and I, you know, had zero patience. I was sitting around twiddling my thumbs, like trying to figure out how I can get in people's faces non-traditionally. And I just grabbed a hold of our Instagram. I had tons of time. So I just started putting my before and afters together and started networking and
Mhm.
started developing our Instagram into what it is today and mine as well. So it's free, underutilized tools. Like who doesn't want that? Like it's so important.
I think that a lot of people get stuck, though. You don't seem to have this problem, but a lot of people get stuck with two things. The first thing is, I don't know what to post. And then the second thing is this good enough? A lot of people also do struggle with, and I know this because I've been running my agency for 3 years, and I've been a consultant, strategy coach, whatever you want to call it, since 2017. And these are the things that everybody says that they struggle with. They also don't like the way that they look on camera, sound. Is it good enough? Does anybody care? Nobody's following me yet. So you had none of that. You literally said, and it was giving me a little bit of a boomer vibe when you're like, "What is this Instagram?" But I know that that's not.
It
But
was
then
me. Yeah.
you figured it out, and you had no audience. You didn't care. You just said, "I know that this can work if I stay consistent," right?
Hmm.
And you just did it. And so if you're an injector and you're listening to this and you have this same issue, you just have to take the first step and record the first one, and then, or an esthetician or a doctor or whoever you are, and then you look at the next thing and you say, let's record this one next. But here's what I have noticed that a lot of people, especially in this industry, don't get when it comes to social media. You're never done.
You said
There's
consistency. I
consistency.
Yes, consistency in engagement, consistent in content, consistently just coming up with different ideas, because I will plan for one full week of what I'm going to post,
Hmm.
already coming up with ideas for the next. You have
Yeah,
to stay consistent and be in people's faces. And that's the key word is consistency. You have to have,
right. It
yeah.
can be tricky because a lot of times we're conditioned to go after a goal or achieve something, and then it feels like there's a reward reciprocated back to us.
Hmm.
Even when you have a video, and I'm not sure what your most viral video has been, but my wife, for example, it was the beginning of this year. I remember it had over 20 or 30 million views on this reel, and it was her most viewed ever. But here's the craziest thing. You, it doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter.
Like, you get these views and it doesn't matter to you anymore.
No,
You don't even care
no,
because it doesn't mean anything for what's happening today. You already posted it. Now, this could, tell me if you agree with this. This could, even if one of your reels has 10,000 or 1,000 or whatever is considered high for you, right? This could be deflating and demoralizing somebody who's hearing this, trying to figure out how to do it. But the metric of views isn't the point. It
no.
is the unquantifiable metric of the people who are following you that come to see you,
Yes.
walk into your room, sit in your chair, and you pick up just as if they were somebody that you text with every single day because they feel like they know you. And that is the purpose of it. So I feel like if we set our sights on that, on I'm going to nurture and build rapport with people rather than just trying to hit numbers
Yes.
and gain this huge audience, that doesn't matter. It's the people who are sitting in front of us and building rapport with them that does matter. Would you agree with that, and anything that you would add or say
A
differently?
100%, because I think initially when was first posting, all I wanted to do was get out there. When you see that your Instagram is working for you and what you're doing is doing a good job, is when
Mm-hmm.
you start seeing yourself get busier. Your schedule's getting busier. You are like, oh, and we ask, hey, how did you hear about us? What brought you here to this practice? I saw you on Instagram. I saw you on
Yeah,
Instagram. That's
yeah.
everyone's first response. And I even feel more connected to my patients. My patients will be sending me memes all day. Like it's just like this. I'm like, oh, I love it.
I'm not gonna
They're like,
lie. I've wanted to send you some too. Now this opens the door. They're coming. They're
do
coming.
it, do it. I'll just be like cackling throughout my day, like, ah, ha, ha. Or they'll even send my patients send me ideas. They're like, oh, you should do this. Do this. It's
Amazing.
so funny. I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, yeah, that sounds
Yeah.
awesome. Like, I love it, but I feel like they think I'm within reach. They kind of know me. I do post some of my personal stuff on there sometimes of like family and friends. And that's, little glimpses of that too is like I'm a real person. You can relate to me. I have family. They come in and talk about, my family or what I did
Mhm.
or what vacation I went on, or just because they feel like they know, they can see it, what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it's just more of a connection to my patients. And I am so like, DM me. That's the best way to get a hold of me. If you have any issues or questions, I answer right away. And that's another thing that I feel is important is that, a lot of these smaller practices, they will hire a person and it's not their personality. It's the marketing person's personality. And you
Yes.
you can tell. You're like, that's not you. I can't really tell who you are with this marketing stuff. And
Yep.
it is me 100%. I'm answering DMs, I'm talking to you, I'm laughing at your memes. Like, we are connected whether you're in my
Yeah.
chair or not. And I love that I'm reachable to patients at all
I do
times.
too.
I just
I
have
do
to
too.
make sure I'm genuine about who I am. And I've had those comments before where like patients come in my chair, they're like, "You're just like you are on Instagram. You're the same." I'm like, "That's what I want. I don't want you to come and be like, this isn't you. What are you posting on there?" It's
Yeah.
me, 100%.
It can be a double-edged sword, and it's exactly what you said. It's the power and the tool to be able to build a rapport with like a megaphone with thousands of people at the same time. But if there's a discrepancy and somebody comes to your chair and they don't see this vibrant personality, or they see something totally different, it's going to feel confusing, and it will actually turn them off, and they probably won't come back anymore because it'll feel
Yeah.
fake.
Yes. Yes.
It's
It's
interesting.
building your brand. But you
Yeah.
have to be genuine about it. You have to also know what your brand is. I feel like sometimes you look at people's pages, I'm like, not sure what you're serving. Let's figure it out. But I really want to use, my social media to connect with other patients, injectors, and help with the aesthetics industry in general. Like you said, it's a big megaphone. And if I can, sometimes I will post some serious stuff, but majority of the time I'm joking around, I'm playing. But if I can reach other people and let them know, these are patients, like you said, it's okay to ask your injector this. Be comfortable doing this. Let me educate you on these things. It's just crazy how many people you can reach with this stuff. So, and it's a
Yeah.
very powerful tool.
Yeah. How long do you remember how long it took you of consistently posting to start before you finally felt like, okay, I have a decent clientele now?
Yeah, I would say a solid 2 years of just post, 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 post.
Yeah.
Now it's wild. It's awesome
Yeah.
and I love it, and I'm not gonna stop. You can't lose your momentum. But I'd say a solid 2 years to where and I feel like the pandemic had a big effect on that too, because
Mm,
when I wasn't injecting, we were closed down, but I was on
yeah.
social media and I was posting and everyone was watching. And so by the time we opened back up, people, they knew,
Hmm.
they were ready. They were ready to come back. So I feel like it had somewhat of a positive impact. Not only that,
Oh,
people
yeah.
working from home, looking at their Zoom faces, wanting to get their, under eyes done or
Right.
whatever, because they were
Right.
watching themselves on camera all day. So it was a shift there that I could definitely see. But I was like, I can't see patients. I'm not even working. How can I stay relevant? How can I stay in their faces? And Instagram was perfect for that.
Yeah. 2 years, when you say that, it seems like such a long time. It just is like, it's a big pill to swallow, right? But when you really think about it, anything happens over time, day by day by day. What I mean by that is if you just get on there and share something today and tomorrow and Friday and Saturday and Sunday, eventually the 2 years just happens. I think that people need to realize as well that at the beginning of you sharing anything, your content's probably going to suck.
Yeah.
It's going to suck. Just like you told me that you were doing radius into the nasal labial folds and all of this stuff, like you're just getting better. There's opportunities for growth and improvement. And so you cannot let the newness of it deter you from actually just jumping in and going, because when you make those mistakes is when you're going to learn. So I hope that everybody actually does give it their best shot. So you probably, when all the other injectors too and med spas were uh just watching you do whatever you were doing during the first year or two of the pandemic, a lot of the injectors probably were like, wow, Marissa seems cool. And wow, her work is really good. I want to be trained by her because you are a Galderma trainer. And so, how does somebody train with you? Do they come to your office? Do you go to them both?
So I train for Galderma, but my business partner and I also started up our own academy. So we do, which
Amazing.
is in the Southwest, there's not anything. We have to travel out to wherever to do training. So we do more like local trainings and stuff like that. Because it's much needed. It's much
Yeah.
needed. And
And what do
so
you cover in that in your academy? What's covered? Is it
very
A to
basic.
Z, literally
Basics
everything?
of basics of Botox, basics of filler, basics of Sculptra. I mean, that's a little bit more advanced as an injector, but still just everything baby basics because this is
Yeah.
new and there's nowhere for in the Southwest for people to like, hey, like even to just come shadow me and see if you are even if you even like it. What if you think it's the thing for you, but it really isn't, and you don't want to go invest the $10,000 in a big conference, it's you just have to fill it out and see if it's for you.
Yeah.
Because it's not easy. It's not
That's a
easy.
good first option. I feel like that's a good baby step. Um, and then if they want to progress and keep going with you, you teach them advanced techniques too, or how
Yeah,
does
I
it
mean,
work?
we haven't really reached that area. I don't have enough time. But I do train for Galderma, and if they wanted to train with me, they would reach out to the rep for that area, and then we would schedule a training that way. So
That's
yeah.
awesome. And so a couple more questions
Mhm.
before we wrap up, because I know you have patients.
I
they're,
know.
they're probably there. So
They're
thank
banging
tell
on my
them
door.
thank you.
Yeah.
Tell them thank you for waiting for me.
Uh,
So here's the main question is what is next for you? Is it continuing to scale your practice? Is it figuring out how to work less but still make more by hiring a bigger team? Is it another location? Is it something else? What are you seeing in your future?
So, of course, always growth. Growth
Hmm.
not only for me, but for my other injectors. I currently have three other injectors that work with me. They're part-time right now, but I just want we're a mentoring facility. My partner and I, we take them and we teach them everything, and we're a team. We're really a team.
Hmm.
And I want them to be just as successful as my partner and I, and be just as booked and busy, because it's going to be the best when we're all thriving and we're all here working together. So I really want to help get them busier. I really want to be able to like jump in and focus more in marketing for injectors. Yeah, of course, I do Galderma training and I can teach you things on all things aesthetics, but I feel like focusing in on the marketing portion for injectors is something that is
Yeah,
much needed. And I'm getting more into like the business side of running the aesthetics, and marketing is yeah, let me teach you how to do all
it's
these things.
huge.
Marketing is huge. It is
It's
huge, huge,
huge.
huge. So if I can help other injectors and show them my process or help them brand themselves or show them why it's going to be beneficial for them in their practice. One of the biggest things, if you're starting out as an injector, start your social media as soon as possible.
Hmm.
Yes, you have to start networking, you have to start getting out there, and you really need to find that, self-confidence, and just know that it's okay to put yourself out there. It's okay if not everyone likes you. Like that's totally fine. I know I'm not the injector for everyone. People might not like my funny things. They might not find me too funny, but like it's okay. Someone is going to like me and someone is going to come and choose me as their injector, and that's the person that I want. That's the patient that I want in my seat. I don't want someone who's not a fan of my work and doesn't like what I'm showing or marketing or branding. Like I want a patient who identifies with me and my values. So I think that that's important to just get out there and do it when you're starting out. You just have to. It's just
Yeah, I love your can-do attitude. Uh, and just not letting self-limiting beliefs prevent you from actually moving forward and just doing things. I
Yeah.
really like that. That's a good quality and trait to have.
Throw it aside. Throw it
Throw
aside.
it aside.
Doesn't belong in this industry.
And everybody still has it. I would bet that you still have it to some degree, or or you get hung up on which one should I do today, but you just make a decision and you move forward, and that's very cool.
Yeah.
Um, a couple more little questions that I always like to ask at the end of every interview. If you could only receive one or two treatments for the rest of your life, what are you picking?
Okay. One or two treatments. Of course, like Botox forever.
Okay, Botox
Um,
forever. That should
Botox
be,
forever.
you
I
should,
need
I could see you making some shirts that say
the shirt.
Botox
Botox
forever.
forever. And then, oh, gosh, this is a hard one. Um, I've actually become quite obsessed with lasers lately.
Mm,
Like skincare is everything. And we have Cyton devices, so I'm not sponsored by Cyton, but BBL, Halo, Moxie. I just noticed my skin is glowing all the time ever since I got them.
amazing.
I don't even operate the lasers. My nurses do it. I don't even know. I mess someone up. If I picked up a laser, it's not my thing, but I am like obsessed with the actual treatment.
So
So
BBL or Moxie, one of those would be number two. I love it. Yeah, skincare. I like that you chose, because you could have said Sculptra. You could have said, something else. And I know you love it. And I
how
know
much
you love it.
sculpture can you get? Like,
How much Sculptra can you get? You can laser your face off every month if
yeah,
you want.
might as
But I
well.
like that. That shows like a holistic approach in a way, right? It's not just one thing or two things.
Yeah.
Um, and then the other thing is, what do you want when you're done with everything? What do you want to leave behind as your legacy?
Oh, wow. Um,
That was a deep one. This is
that,
that
like,
was a little deeper. I don't know if you were ready for that. What do you want? What
um,
do you want to be remembered
I
for? What do you want to leave behind?
I want to be remembered for making an impact on in leveling up the industry overall. I don't think we're taken seriously. Um, injectors, the aesthetics industry, were looked at little frou-frou girls who aren't very smart, wouldn't know what's going on. Um, I remember when I first started out here, nurse practitioner, I could have gone to the hospital and, made six figures right off the bat. And I told all of the physicians that I practiced with, they're like, "Oh, you're graduating. What are you gonna do? Like, you're gonna join us? Blah 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 blah." And I used to work cardiac ICU, and I was like, "I'm gonna go into aesthetics."
And they're like,
They were like,
ew.
"You're stupid. Like, that
Oh my
is dumb.
gosh.
That is a dumb decision. You
They're
are
actually
so
saying that.
Yeah, they were like, that's dumb. You're gonna waste your education. What are you doing? You're gonna waste your knowledge, your brain. We need you here.
That's
Blah, blah, blah.
crazy.
That's dumb. But I put that aside and I was like, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do what I want to do. Even like my
Yeah.
family was like, that's like guaranteed benefits. Like that's security. Like you work at the hospital. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, no, I'm gonna go do it.
Nope.
That's what I want to do. So I left and as a nurse practitioner, was not making any money I could have chose the golden path.
Sure. Sure.
And you just hear it all the time. Even like nurses joke around about it. Like I'm walking around in public with my scrubs and people are thanking me for saving lives. Like we are I think people think we're a joke sometimes. So I would like to level up the industry as a whole,
Yeah.
make it safer for patients, definitely, and continue educating injectors so that, yeah, we can level up the industry together.
That's amazing. I think that with what you're seeing too, because New Mexico's not a huge state. There's not a lot of people there compared to some other states, and you're definitely a leader out there, 100%. And I think that with what's happening with um, these new rules and laws and everything, you've got an opportunity to really spearhead this, Marissa. And I'm excited to for that for you and to see
Yeah,
kind of what happens. So
me too.
I think that that's really cool.
Yeah, they're
So
they're barriers, but I think they're good changes. They're necessary to keep patients safe. So I
yep,
think it's okay.
absolutely. So we already mentioned your Instagram, but it's Marissa the aesthetic injector with periods in between each word. Is that that's the best way to get a hold of you? You said send me a
Yeah,
DM.
absolutely.
This has been great. Thank you so much for
Whoa.
today, and everybody until next time, take care of
Yeah.
yourself.
Thanks for having me.